Okay. All right. So good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us to this very first webinar or episode to the Future of Work for the Asian Youth webinar series. So this again is the very first of four. We are starting for today with Taiwan, and we have invited three esteemed speakers to join us today. One coming from government, one from the private sector, and another from academia. So the second session that we'll be having for this project would be about Indonesia, and it will be held in November. The next would be Malaysia, January 2021, and the last would be Vietnam in March 2021. So before we proceed with today's activities and speakers, I would like to invite the uh, CAST Japan Country Representative and SUPES Director, Ms. Rebea Brower, to deliver the keynote for us today. Rebea.
Thank you very much, Julie. Thank you, everyone whom I'm seeing here on screen. I am very happy to participate. I am Rabea Brauer, heading the Japan program and the regional program of socioeconomic governance in Asia. And I welcome wholeheartedly our audience and most of all our TAF colleagues who made this possible today. So big thanks to you. I also like to welcome our distinguished speakers whom you will introduce in a moment. I think we are looking at very exciting and important discussions today. For all who are not familiar with the Konrad-Adenauer Foundation, your co-partner of today's event, we are a German political foundation. We are running over 120 offices around the world. And as much as today, as in the past, we have been concerned with democracy, good governance, rule of law, and social market economy issues in our host countries and in Germany. I myself running the Japan program. We've been here on the grounds for 10 years now. And we not only that we are looking at Japan, we're looking at the entire region. So we foster political exchange with our regional program of socioeconomic governance. We are busy with subjects that concern the future. That is, so to speak, energy, that is security, that is foreign policy, that is socioeconomic concerns, such as labor, migration, youth development, female participation, very important, trade, and multilateral institution. So why are we here today? And we all know that the youth is most affected by all the changes that we're looking at. We have to combat a pandemic, a global pandemic. We are looking at health crises alongside of this. We are looking at climate change rapidly turning the world around. We have to deal with advancing technologies, with globalization trends and globalization declines. And all of this affects our youth. So how can our youth sustain in the future? And that is the biggest question that will concern our entire event series. Everything seems to uncertain. So what can we give precisely our youth at hand? So I'm very, very happy that we are able to cooperate with you, our TIFE colleagues, on the very subject of future of work for the youth. You said that it's a webinar series. Taiwan is the kickoff, and I'm very happy because CAS and Taiwan, they are enjoying very, very long-standing ties, and I'm looking forward to everything that there is to come. You already mentioned that we are looking at the driving economies in Asia, Southeast Asia, that is Indonesia, Malaysia, and Vietnam. So there's really something to look forward to our next webinars. And of course, there will be many questions on the table that enable us today to dig even deeper and to give even more, to deliver more seminars. I want this seminar to set an example for the case studies. I want you all to spot trends in the region. We want to come up with policy recommendations for the legislators and the government because these people are our target groups, right? So let us today discuss with our distinguished speakers of how the future of work can look like and will look like. There's not much we can do. What effect will that have on our young people? And let us also explore the question of how well positioned is our youth, especially today we're looking at Taiwan, to make those transitions. We will have to talk about education examples, suitable curricula, and specify trainings for our scholars. And we also have to look, that's very important, for new models of social protection. So to wrap it up, there's a lot on our tables today, and there's a lot of discussion probably in the room. And I would like to hand back to you, Yuri, to not further stand between us and the experts. So I wish us all a good seminar with good results. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rabea, for that. So Rabea has mentioned that this project is actually a joint activity between the Konrad-Adenauer-Stiftung SOPAS project based in Tokyo, Japan, and the Taiwan Asia Exchange Foundation in Taipei, Taiwan. Now, so why do we really have to look at the youth and the future of work for these young people? Now, being new members of the labor force, for example, young people are at most the most vulnerable as workers, where depending on location, situations may not be favorable in terms of access to mobility, equality, fair wages, you name it, the whole spectrum of it. Whereas the world is now defined by rapid globalization, for example, adoption of new technology and an unprecedented industrial development, distribution of opportunities to young people are far from equal. And evidently so, much less so when levels of education and skills are considered. These three factors have significantly pushed industries to create jobs mostly for developed countries, but have also left behind those who have difficulty in accessing necessary education that grants equally necessary skills to compete for the job market. Now, furthermore, recent challenges have reshaped the global work environment, seeing the rise of gig workers in recent years and part timers, as well as the creation of employment vacuums due to the closure of smaller businesses in light of incidents like COVID-19, for example. To young people, this translates very much to the creation of a lockdown generation, and we are very much experiencing that right now. That will also experience, these young people will also experience in the long term the effects of this crisis and those that will come after this, as they are the most vulnerable to market disruptions and job loss. Now, to rein in and introduce Taiwan's perspectives and examples and experiences, we have invited, as I mentioned, three specialists or experts working in different sectors of society. So we have invited one from government, one from the private sector, and one from academia. And to kick off, I guess just to give you an idea on what Taiwan is all about. So Taiwan is or was one of the four Asian tigers that had high growth economies between the 60s to the 90s. And it has seen rapid industrialization and it owes that growth to them, but has also since suffered the same fate as other developed countries, where high labor industries have relocated to countries with cheaper labor. And we've been seeing this happening in the recent years. Um, and new graduates, for example, have been looking elsewhere and beyond the national borders to look for better opportunities when they're looking for higher wages, for example. They tend to look at nearby countries such as Japan, South Korea, and China. And this experience is still happening to this date, despite the better efforts of government and other concerned groups within society. So to give a better perspective of that, I would like to introduce our very first speaker for today. Our first speaker has an extensive experience in government, having worn a number of hats across different levels at the Department of Social Welfare, for example, Taiwan's Executive Yuan, the Ministry of Labor, and even at the Taipei Economic and Cultural Representative Office in the United States. So at present, he is also the section chief of the planning division at the Ministry of Labor under the Work Development Agency. So Mr. Jason Zhishan Huang, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Good morning, online participants, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jason Huang. I'm the Section Chief of Workforce Development Agency. Before the presentation, I would like to take some time to introduce WDA. The overall goal of WDA is to train vast specialists to provide human resources for industries and improve employment services. However, a decrease of the labor force has ensued year after year due to the global impact of the changes of structure to industry, the financial crisis, the the lack of employment opportunities, the problem of youth employment, the impact of automation, and the spread of coronavirus pandemic, these adverse factors has posed challenges to our jobs. To address these challenges, the WDA will focus on optimizing the structure of the talent, strengthening the training systems to promote the vocational competency, making the best use of foreign specialists to improve the linkage with national industries. Now let's come back to today's webinar topic. Four parts are included in my presentation, which are youth employment analysis, the challenges of future work, and new technology to youth employment, interministerial collaboration, which is youth employment investment program, and the fourth part is conclusion. In the year of 2019, Taiwan's number of labor force from age 15 to 29 in Taiwan is 2,400,000. 200,000 of them are unemployed, which is accounted for 47.5% of the total unemployment. Taiwan's youth participation rate is 56%. Youth unemployment rate is 8.7%. The duration of youth unemployment is 21 weeks. After relevant analysis of the current situation, we found the following phenomena. The first one is youth unemployment rate is higher than overall unemployment rate. The second one is unemployed first job seekers are increasing and they have difficulties to find their first job. Third one is as getting older, unemployed young people may cause more social problems. And the fourth one is a number of young people are willing to do atypical jobs. In all, the number of Taiwan's unemployed youth has decreased since financial crisis in 2009. In 2019, Taiwan's youth unemployment rate is 8.4%, which is 2.3 times higher than overall unemployment rate. 63.5% of unemployed young people don't have a proper job. .6% of bio and occupation configurations are also changed radically. Based on World Economic Forum 2018 report, the job market worldwide will be experiencing transformation in coming 5 years. It predicted 133 million jobs will be created, including big data analysts, artificial intelligence experts, and so on. But 75 million jobs will disappear, including data coding personnel, accountants and auditors, and secretaries. New trends for the working skill of future work, including analytical and creative thinking, and skills of systematic analysis and evaluation, and ability of problem solving, and technology and programming design. But we can also see some job patterns has been arising. First one is fixed working place is gradually replaced by working from home. And secondly, automation, artificial intelligence, and working with robots. And thirdly, flexible working hours. And lastly, freelance job opportunities increased with high competitive market. Benefited from development of IoT and a digital platform, traditional limits on working time and place will be lifted. Therefore, the cost of matching job in job market is trimmed, the job can be divided into smaller units and can be collaborated by different workers in different time and place. A variety of creative applications and services boost formation of gig economy, sharing economy, and platform economy. They totally change traditional full-time job and create multiple, atypical, and unconditional next generation work. Under these circumstances, we can see some opportunities and challenges. Opportunities including flexible and independent job opportunity is increased, and a multifaceted and diversified occupation is emerged. Young people have digital advantages, but challenges would be choice between flexibility and labor protection, and instability in employment and relevant benefits. And lastly, relentless and lifelong learning to keep up with the trends. In order to contain the spread of COVID-19, every country has taken lockdown measures, which bring huge influences on global economy, trade, finance, and employment. The pandemic also accelerates the era to an uncertainty, and no matter enterprises and talents have to face harsher situation. For enterprises, they slash their recruitment, lay off employees, trim personnel costs, and beef up digitalization arrangements. And then zero contact economy and working from home make multi-skilled talents more needed. In face of post-pandemic, the new pattern of consumption, production, and business operation bring us digital technology and new mode of business. The first is occupation and occupation configuration is diversified, and the value of work has been changed. Piecemeal and flexible works has been the mainstream in the job market, and reskilling and upskilling is necessary and inevitable for workers. The Youth Unemployment Invest program has been launched since 2019. By interministerial collaboration, we take following measures. The first one is we scan the industries and grip the trend. Every competent authority conducts survey for its talent. At least, we provide employment services, broaden job opportunity, offer employment matching services, and get rid of employment barriers for the youth. Based on young people's different needs in different phases, this program also provides differentiated services to those in school, first job seekers, unemployed for 6 months or more, those on the job, and atypical employees. For those still in school, we have intergovernmental collaboration on strengthening career consultation and employment preparation. Furthermore, the Ministry of Education provides grants to high schools and colleges for helping students build better understanding about career planning. Other than that, the Workforce Development Agency works with Ministry of Education on quality collaboration between industry and education. This plan includes variety of vocational trainings. We increase trainees by 5% annually, which let more young people learn better knowledge and working skills for better fitting into future labor market. For first job seekers, the Ministry of Education provides a list of senior students who are willing to find a job in advance. The WDA proactively traces those students afterwards on their situation and feedback to the Ministry of Education. So the Ministry of Education can adjust the curricula for the schools. Moreover, when job seekers attend vocational training programs, the WDA subsidizes 80% of tuition up to 100,000 NT dollars, which can effectively make trainees become industrial talents. For the young people unemployed for 6 months or more, firstly, through in-depth consultation, we help young people understand their suitable job. By showing their resume, job seekers demonstrate their abilities and strengths. Besides that, we introduce young workers to enterprises, offering them 3-month internship with monthly allowance provided by the WDA. After in-depth consultation, if people can find a job within 3 months and keep that job for another 3 months, we can offer them monthly 30,000 NT dollars as encouragement. As to those on-the-job young people, in order to continuously enhance their employability, we provide up to 70,000 NT dollars training fee within 3 years to encourage young people to participate training course. Moreover, we also encourage enterprises to assign young employees who are under the age of 29 to attend training. 70% of the training fee can be subsidized by the WDA. As to the typical young workers, we help them to get a full-time job. Firstly, the WDA provides up to 108,000 NT dollars to enterprises for offering full-time job opportunities, which can encourage young part-time job workers to change their career path to a full-time job. Besides that, the WDA sets an equal employment benchmark to encourage enterprises which equally treat typical and atypical workers alike. By investing in resources from related governmental agencies, we plan to help young employees increase from 150,000 to 190,000 from the year of 2018 to 2022. I'm sorry. In other words, we want to create 10,000 young job opportunities each year. MIT professor Frank Levy said, in the past 50 years in the US, fastest disappeared jobs were those institutionalized jobs. Future economy needs complicated skills, so that workers need international brains and thinking hands. International brains means the thought of having confidence, gripping international trends, using international resources to create business opportunities, and marketing products and services to global market. Thinking hands means the skills of not only having professionalism, but also focusing on consumers' need as well as aesthetic and unique design in products. Workforce Development Agency, WDA, understands the trend of future work. We are working on designing more up-to-date training courses, pave multiple career paths for young workers. We will always be the strong support for young generation and all workers alike in Taiwan. That's all my presentation. Thank you.
Right, so thank you very much, Mr. Huang, for your presentation. So it's actually very reassuring to know that the Taiwanese government and its several agencies are actually acting on this issue of unemployment and underemployment among the Taiwanese youth. I've also conducted a few readings about this, and I've seen that although it's imperfect, it's hard to find a perfect country that can actually fully address the issue of unemployment, especially with fresh graduates. Uh, it has been there's an increase and decline as well in the rate of unemployment for the Taiwanese youth, but it's also mostly driven by policy of government. To understand that the government is actually providing opportunities or avenues for young people to actually shift from the informal employment situations to a more secured situation is actually a good indicator that it might be promising for the Taiwanese youth. But that remains to be seen. Thank you very much for sharing the perspective of government. I know that we will be learning more from you in a moment. So from government, we now proceed to the private sector. The next speaker is the young CEO of Startport. It is a business startup incubator that specializes in helping other startups and companies expand their business operations to ASEAN countries, India, and of course, Taiwan. He is well experienced in bridging government and private sector stakeholders, having worked on projects under the Taipei City government and the Ministry of Economic Affairs. With a background in science, engineering, and law, he hopes to continue making positive impacts across industries while building a strong community of ethical entrepreneurs. So, Mr. Uniform Lin, we are excited to hear from you.
Okay, thank you. Let me prepare. Oh, 这是个。
So, need help?
Okay.
Okay.
我们可以看到，看不到。我要 share 那个。So because I need to share my presentation, so let me do it.
Yes. All right.
Okay. 这个吗？
难one. I think now
Yes,
it's
give him a minute. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Ooh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, this one. Can you see?
Can you see my presentation?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Hello, this is Uniform from Starboard. It's my honor to be invited there to have a speech to everyone. And like host say, Starboard is a startup incubator that specializing in helping startup and the company establish and expand their business to Asian country, Indian, and Taiwan. And today, my topic is how will new trade and the technology bring challenge to this young generation? Okay. Entrepreneurship is a new trend supported by the government. Many international enterprise look for potential startup to merge and acquisition and expand their current business. To be ready for the new normal amidst the COVID-19, we have the following challenge need to overcome. Okay. So challenge number 3 is the following. It's a new trend, new tech, and a new mindset. Okay. So the first new trend is lazy economic. For those of you do not know the career path or business segment, here is a new trend, lazy economy. Have you ever ordered Uber Eats, Foodpanda, or similar service provider? Lazy economy has 2 major parts, food and beverage service and the time saving service. Okay, you can see this PPT. It shows the scaling of the delivery platform makes a huge demand of delivery worker and the driver, which means there are more people will engage in this related industry. People can choose to work for this flexible and tax-oriented part-time job instead of committing to work for full-time position. I think you can see the many young people walk on the road for this kind of service. And okay, so loss diligence entrepreneurs provide a new time-saving service to free people from their chores, such as elder home care, errand delivery, and housekeeping. And the second trend is new tech. The fifth generation mobile of networking is overheard this year. It's not merely faster internet, but change every aspect of life. Just like your old Nokia phone, comparing to the at least version of iPhone. So there are the major field we will touch today is healthcare, entertainment, and the big data. Okay. The 5G networking makes a faster data transaction. The medical worker can receive real-time global medical information to support the diagnosis and hold a virtual meeting to provide the first-hand info to their patient. The high-speed internet brings a massive experience and allow performance to have interaction with their audience without the time delay. The entertainment industry will be the first field to apply new device, feature, and technology. Moreover, stimulate smart manufacturing, smart life. Okay. Next one is big data. New technology generate a massive amount of data. Analytic tool and the service are the critical topic for the staff. By turning data into information, it can help people and artificial intelligence make a rational decision, reduce potential risks, and efficiently iterate new technology. Okay. The next one is new mindset. Three mindset to broaden your horizon and keep you updated in the future of work. The first is a shift in the work phase. Second is legal compliance. Third is a resource integration. Of course, we must adjust ourselves to fit into this new era. When new jobs are sprouting, the new technologies are also replacing many jobs. This shift in work phase will transform from repetitive tasks to more creative job. Slash will be the new normal. People can have multiple jobs or meaningful living. Slash we in Taiwan's Chinese name is called 斜杠. It's a very popular word in Taiwan now. It's mean yeah. Okay. Next is a new mindset is a legal compliance. So because of new technology, and so what is right, what is wrong? The rightness has fallen behind when technology taken a huge leap. So like we can think about the unreasonable work hour, personal privacy, a monopoly company, and discrimination in work. This is a big topic to need to discuss in the future, and I think this is very, very important for that. And okay. And the next one is resource integration. Entrepreneurs are a bunch of people that overcome obstacles and provide this world with virus solution by integrating resource. So because now we need to learn entrepreneur, new style of startup topic. So I believe you need to have the talent skill to integrate the resource, kind of the governments and the business stakeholder, startup ecosystem, an original market player, and more. So it's a very different. For me, I think it's very different compared to the last generation. If they want to start your business, now we have many information. It's very good and also very is advantage. It also is a disadvantage. It means everyone can get information easier. So if you want to be success, you want to be the unique, you need to integrate the resource efficiency. Okay. So so I always ask myself, am I ready for the future of work? We need to hustle and have the student mentality to absorb the new knowledge and the skill. Every time when my computer or yours computer shows the notification to inform you the new version of iOS or Windows, it is also the chance to remind yourself and me, for sure, to how long you have ever updated yourself to become a better person. It is not telling you to complete with the 24-hour, 7-day working machine. It is a mindset to keep us awake from the laziness and not staying to the comfort zone too long, such as like study the job, thinking math, and the out of date knowledge. So the future of work is optimistic, and it will be the best era for entrepreneurs to start their business and the workers to pursue their ideal career. So for me, I want to sharing my favorite words, chasing your dream bravely, and I wish you all the best and stay tuned for the new trend, new tech, and the new mindset. Thank you. Yeah, and thank you everyone the intention and my speech today. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. So thank you very much for your brief presentation, Mr. Lin. So I guess coming from the talk earlier by Mr. Huang, wherein he presented avenues and areas where government has actually taken leaps and bounds and steps to address issues of unemployment and maybe skills mismatch, education mismatch between the available labor force and the available job opportunities in the market. I guess you brought in a different perspective wherein you're actually very optimistic. And that you have to be more, I mean, the young people should be more open and should look forward to new technologies and new applications of such technologies. You're right. A lot of people now are using convenient apps or apps of convenience, such as we have Uber, Lyft, Food Panda delivery services. And this has also employed a lot of young people, especially those who have, I wouldn't say like, not have found the right opportunities yet. I guess taking from your talk, I would say that the keyword would be like upscaling or reskilling. So I guess you touched on briefly on the need for young people to constantly update their firmware or their software so that they can also be competitive in today's workforce or labor market. When we have our Q&A, we are now jumping on to our third, but definitely not the last speaker for the day, who would be bringing in perspective on academia. And hopefully that she can talk also more about the things that she's been working on in the past decades. So our next speaker is an academic, and she has devoted her life to research of labor and gender issues. She has been actively teaching at Taiwan's National Zhengzhou University for 28 years since obtaining her PhD in sociology from the University of Southern California, USA. She is involved in various governmental, professional, and civic organizations under varying capacities, notable of which are the Council of Women Rights Promotion and Development, the Taiwan Health Reform Foundation, Human Rights Group under the Executive Yuan, Human Rights Consultative Committee under the Presidential Office or Presidential Palace, and the Taiwan Higher Education Union. It is our pleasure to have you today with us, Dr. Mei Zhen Liu. Professor?
Okay, hello everyone again. I'm quite honored to be invited here to share some of my thoughts with you. I've been, just like you said, I've been teaching in National Zhengzhou University for 28 years at the Institute for Labor Research. Yes, I witnessed a lot of issues. Yeah, I thought about a lot of issues, and I joined the government seminars or policy making meetings. So I do have some words that I want to say, even though that Mr. Huang and Ms. Lin, for instance, Ms. Lin did present a very comprehensive introduction about the government, the efforts that the government agency did over the past years to address the youth employment problems. I admit they did a lot of efforts, okay? And I also appreciate the efforts initiated by NGOs like Starboard, because they initiate a lot of innovations trying to help the youth to make a better cope with the future. But still, there's a lot of work to do. Here we are, in order to search for a better solution, we have to know where we are now and what problems that youth are encounter, so that we will know the right direction that we have to take. Okay. First of all, I would like to share my thoughts on the youth employment situation, their challenges, even though some of the points that are already raised by Mr. Huang, but I would like to just do it quickly. As you may know, that nowadays youth in Taiwan encounter employment disadvantages much more challenging than ever before. They not only have much higher unemployment rates, low wages, but also higher entry barriers and dimmer career prospect. Those phenomena are not foreign to us. I will discuss each aspect of the challenges. Okay. Speaking of the unemployment rate, we know this rate for youth aged 15 to 24 is 11 point, which is 3 times higher than the average in 2019. This situation deserves our policy attention. Though youth in Western societies have a higher unemployment rate, but the ratio is roughly only 2 times. Therefore, youth in Taiwan are exposed to higher risk of unemployment, and also the long-term unemployment rate is high, which is devastating to those who just start their employment career. High youth unemployment rate means a significant portion of the labor force being wasted, which is something Taiwan can hardly afford because we have the lowest fertility rate in the world. Extremely low fertility rate and a rapid increase in aging population pose a solemn policy challenge as to social insurance system, both labor insurance and health insurance. That's why we have pension reform nowadays, and that creates a lot of social tensions. Okay, and the second point is that I would like to raise is the low wage. Low wage is like a social disease, that have negative and lasting impact upon workers in general and the youth in particular. Since 80 to 90 of the high school graduates continue their undergraduate study in universities over the past 20 years. This rate is extremely high compared to other Western countries, and even in the Southeast Asian countries. Those youth with university education earn on average less than 30,000 NT dollars, which is roughly less than 1,000 US dollars. You will see the harsh reality, okay? A wage level that has stagnated for 20 years, which means that what they earn is only a little bit higher than the official minimum wage level, which is supposed to apply to those workers who lack sufficient human capitals. But nowadays, youth with education degree, they only earn such minimum wage level. Worse still, the real wage during the period is regressed to the level of 20 years ago. This fact is disheartening to youth, I believe, to a lot of youth in Taiwan. The whole thing is not right, you know. Those with undergraduate degree deserve decent working conditions and better treatment. You know, if I were them, I definitely will doubt why I have to study university, why I have to work hard, why I need to invest my human capital if I only earn less than 1,000 US dollar per month. Why I don't see the future. Anyway, a lot of whys, isn't it? What's worse still is the low wage. This low wage leaves youth hard to get married. So we have a lot of people, the young generation who are suitable for marriage, but they didn't get married. It's hard for them to form a family, to raise children, and to afford housing expenditure, which is extremely high in the metropolitan cities. And the housing expenditure on average accounts for 1/3 to half of their monthly wage. Okay, this phenomenon is obviously an alarm to sustainability, both economically and socially. If the worst case continues, we'll see more youth turn into discouraged workers, or they will become NEET group, NEET, not in employment, not in education, not in the training program. Okay, a situation that we definitely not want to see, because some of them are, when they become the NEET group, they indulge themselves in the virtual world, which nobody help, okay, especially to the society. Okay, and the third challenge is that the threshold to enter job market is much higher because employers favor those youth who have internship experience and who have multi-skills, which means youths are better to have double majors or multiple sub-majors while in university. Okay, internship has very much exploded in Taiwan or in other countries like in US by employers as a human source strategy, not only as a screening tool, but also to lower labor costs. This point is very important. Okay, it's an open secret that lots of interns are cheap replacements of regular workers. So it's a set trend that employers are increasingly not interested in investing human capital and have no patience to nurture expertise in their workers, young workers. They do not want to offer needed training courses with experienced mentors to guide them. This kind of manpower that employers favor is those the kind of manpower that employers favor is those who are well prepared as to firm-specific skills and with all kinds of necessary certificates. Better yet, they have rich internship experience. What made the situation worse is international competition. under which employers are in a position that throat-cutting competition mandates the adoption of all kinds of flexibility, lean and mean being the managerial principle to not only micro, medium enterprises, but also large local companies. Therefore, the turnover rate of youth is higher than previous counterparts. They were slandered or defiled by media as strawberry generation. I don't know whether all the participants online know the strawberry generation means. Okay, that means that indicating that they are hardly strong enough to endure ordinary workload and psychologically vulnerable. However, high turnover rate is exactly a signal of their resistance against worsening labor conditions. And this is the only tool that individual has to fight back. Because in Taiwan, labor unionization rate is low and workers are hesitant to pursue collective actions that make the situation worse. Outsourcing becomes a very common human resource practice in capitalistic societies, and especially so in a low-density unionization countries like in Taiwan, where unions are too weak to function as a buffer to check balance capital power. Okay, let me go to the fourth point, which is the dim career prospect. They do not have a lot of youth lack the aspiration for their future. It is less likely for an entry-level youth to land a job. Why? It is because it is less likely for an entry-level youth to land a job with decent working conditions and security. Therefore, many young people aspire to make successful transition afterwards. Okay, but research shows that the transition period is prolonged, indicating that permanent temporaries, along with accompanying poor working conditions, becomes a harsh fact nowadays to many youth. Okay, people always said that younger generation behaves different from older generations in terms of attitude toward employment. They dislike jobs that demand long working hours. Instead, they have priorities on vacations, annual leaves, as well as privacy, which I think it is all right because that's the legal rights they deserve to have. But obviously, though it's a legal rights, somehow it is not realized in Taiwan labor market. They also pursue self-employment as another option to enjoy more flexibility. Therefore, we have witnessed mushrooming of small coffee shops, either on street corners or back alley. Okay, it is said that Taiwan is one of the places that have the highest density of coffee shop on the street corners as well as back alleys. Most of the owners are young people. It is true, yeah. Self-employment offers not only more flexibility out of the meat, but also a way out of miserable working conditions. The youth will give it a try since there's nothing to lose, especially when they are still young. The other alternative for the youth is to take national examination of public officialdom. Okay, people, they do not have the trust. They do not believe that they can be successful in the private sector, so they will pursue the public officialdom and become public officials. In recent years, there are increasing numbers of young people who choose to pursue officialdom, okay, especially those from top universities, whose graduates are expected to take more challenging tasks in private sectors. But more and more graduates from the top universities, they do the other choices other than the private sectors. Okay, while pursuing public officialdom and self-employment are also indicators of their frustration and despair about employment in private sectors, where quite sizable jobs are characterized by low wage, insecurity, and poor job prospect. Okay, we all know that capital are global, so are with the talents. Okay, so there it is no surprise that the youth with talents are moving to places that could treasure their talents. But if that's the trend, then Taiwan will face double jeopardy. It is a double jeopardy for the government because those talented youth who choose to move to other countries, especially when Taiwan is facing population crisis with low fertility rate and high aged population, it is a social crisis and economic crisis too. Then what actions that the government and business sectors can do? Even though Mr. Huang talked a lot about the effort that the government took in the past, but I would like to add two more points. One is the government has to stop suppressing working conditions to those outsourcing workers who work for the government. You know, we have a lot of workers working for the government, but they are paid poorly, okay, miserably. If the government continue to offer jobs with embarrassing working conditions, they have no position to persuade employers in private sectors to treat their workers better, okay? And secondly, the government has to encourage good practices of corporate social responsibility, we call CSR, with all means, both carrots and sticks. Okay? And business sectors can and should do more for the sake of their future development and international competitiveness, because competitiveness is all about human capitals and trust. Okay, if the employer can follow the good corporate governance principle, then they can win their employees' trust, and they would like to, if they can, if they would like to invest in the human capitals, then talents will go with them. Okay, and also the good corporate governance requires transparency and fairness. Therefore, employers have to make it transparent and fair in their practices. Okay. Last but not the least, employers have to recognize the importance of unions, which can function as a facilitator between employers and workers. But it is a regret that most employers are hostile to unions and collective organizing efforts, and which is something that will make the whole situation worse. Okay. Okay. Do we have the second round of the QA time so that
Yes,
I can?
we will be having a Q&A. Yes. Okay.
Okay. So I can stop here, or okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much, Professor Leo, for touching on a lot of issues. So I really appreciate the comprehensiveness of it, and also your honesty when it comes to your comments regarding the employment situation for a lot of people, not just young people, but also those who are finding difficulties in such circumstances. Again, we are. This is a free and open discussion. I do know that you also pointed out the need for government to be more aggressive in addressing these social issues, and the need for them to also be transparent, etc. I think one thing that hit home the most for me, and I would be a little bit biased here, is the fact that you're right. A lot of entry-level workers or young people, fresh graduates, applying for entry-level jobs are already being asked for experiences that are way ahead of their years. This in itself is actually a huge dilemma for a lot of people, which means that even if you have the degree for a certain job that you're applying for, it is no longer enough. You're right. A lot of young people now are asked to have years and years of volunteer experiences, which is fair, for as long as they're also properly compensated for it. But no, you're also right in mentioning that a lot of young people now are being seen as cheap laborers, and that there is still the need for investing on our workforce. And that's something that companies need to also pay attention more. In terms of government policies, there's also the need for us to continue being aggressive in actually translating policy into actual practice. I think we will have more of that later in the Q&A. So thank you very much, esteemed speakers, for the presentations. I know that it does not cover everything about the Taiwan experience, but it does present a better picture of where we are in a way. Um, uh, Hello? Yeah. So it kind of presents where we are in a way in Taiwan's experiences when it comes to youth unemployment and labor unemployment. Okay, so we are now opening the floor to the Q&A. Some of the participants have already shared their questions by submitting them through our Google form when they registered. So you will be raising questions. We're asking each one of you to answer a question or two specific to you, and then I'll be asking a couple of questions maybe that everyone is free to answer. So I guess I will start off with a question from the audience right now. Mr. Close to Mr. Huang. So this is not one of the advanced questions that were sent. This comes from Rick. So the question is, as technology develops, new job models are made, such as Uber and Food Panda, for example, and this has been touched on a while ago. However, our laws in Taiwan and regulations do not always follow up with the trend, so which leads to many labor rights issues while accidents happen. So what kind of obstacles are there for the government upon such issues? What are the obstacles that the government faces on these issues, and what is it doing in order to solve each other in these areas, for example?
Okay, yeah. Thank you for your question, and thanks for all the comments from online participants and distinguished speakers. I would like to talk about the protections on the atypical or gig economy workers in Taiwan. We noticed that the prevalence of gig economy and platform economy happened in Taiwan. So we can see more and more Food Panda delivers and or Uber Eats delivers all around the street. And we also noticed that some of the traffic accident also happen when they deliver their food to the consumers. And I know in other countries, those platform workers are deemed independent contractors. So that, for example, in the United States, so that they cannot have labor protections or some other labor rights to protect their labor conditions. But in Taiwan, we noticed that we have more and more these kind of workers on the street. And we also see that this kind of traffic accident happen from time to time. So the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, which is under the umbrella of jurisdiction of Ministry of Labor, deemed those Food Panda deliver workers or Uber Eat workers as employees instead of independent contractors, which means that they are covered by labor insurance and occupational injury insurance. This is a huge leap compared to other advanced countries. So this is the protection we provided to those, atypical workers in Taiwan. But instead of that, other than that, we also know that why we have so many atypical or platform economy workers on the street, because they don't have a suitable job skills or working skills to fit in the, traditional or full-time job labor market. So that we in order to embrace the fast-changing and versatile future of work, narrow mismatch between learning and training, we bridge skill. We work with some of the agencies, for example, academia and industries. We want to build a training curriculum, up-to-date training curriculum for those young workers, so that after taking those up-to-date training curriculums or training courses, they can gain or acquire suitable job skills to fit in the labor market, which can provide better working conditions and better working protections for them. So this is what we are doing now. We know this is a long path, and we will never do enough, but we know this path is the right path, and we will keep doing our job for providing better, benefits or labor protections to all the workers alike in Taiwan. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And I guess we also need to add to that what Professor Liu mentioned a while ago, that maybe government would also should take the lead in recognizing unions, because these are actually very crucial in actually transforming the workplaces, and it actually trickles down. So I guess the next question goes to Professor Liu. This comes from Ms. Kelly Park. So what are your thoughts on Taiwanese with college degrees who are looking for working opportunities abroad and leaving Taiwan due to the lower wages? What should be done to keep the talent in Taiwan?
Okay, first of all, you have to change the current situation, because they work long hours, they are paid low wages, and they don't see the future. So, but addressing these problems, not only we need the government effort, but also the industries. And industry, by industry, I mean that employers. Employers have to be more responsible, more accountable to the workers, and they have to upgrade their industries, and they have to pay the decent working conditions. But this is something that we are hard to reach so far, even though the government made a lot of efforts trying to persuade them to be a good employers. But still, we don't see that happen very often, especially among the micro enterprises. But even for those big or large local companies, and we sometimes also see that they are not abide by the law. They will break the law. Yeah, sometimes. So this should not happen, because they do have the resources. They do have the all kind of means to make the working conditions better, but they did not do their best. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor Leo. So duly acknowledged, I hope. So there's another question. I guess this one goes to Mr. Lin from Startport. So as the government started launching the new southbound policy, and I believe that Startport is also very much involved in the efforts of the new southbound policy. As you mentioned, you're also working with ASEAN countries, India, and bridging the opportunities with Taiwan. Business interactions between these countries has increased. In what areas and industries do you see the most opportunities for young people of Taiwan and young people of Asia who want to work with Taiwan? The microphone.
Thank you. For my opinion, the young people, teenage generation. I open.
Okay.
Okay. For my opinion, young entrepreneur, the opportunity to South Asia country, for me, opinion, the first is government support. Like you said, the Taiwanese government support the South Pole policy very well. So actually, entrepreneur can get many resource and the support easier, and then they can mentor. So why have many mentor? Because Taiwan, we have many long-term Taiwanese company in South Asia country. We have many factory, many businessmen already stay in South Asia country already long time, already for a long term. So I think it's very easier to contact them to ask information to what the local information, culture, what we need to take care, and you can. So that's why you can reduce the risk. And the third is because we have many entrepreneur from South Asia country, friend. This one is, I think, very important. Is a regional political, regional political, because like we a little complicate between China and Taiwan. So recently, I have many friends, especially from Indian. They say, "Oh, it's a good opportunity to cooperate with the Taiwan startup because because of some political issue. So they are really exciting to ask, what we can do, what we can cooperate with the Taiwan's startup company. We can do something interesting in Taiwan and India. So and also like Vietnam and Thailand too. We have many this information recently. So that's why I say.
Yeah. But is there any specific industry or sector that you think young people would have the most advantage in entering here? Let's say, for example, manufacturing. Services.
Yeah, and the other was like Taiwan. We have many high tech company. So and also we have Taiwan has a very complete OEM industry, so which will help entrepreneur reduce the product and test the cost, so they can more easier to expand their businesses for South Asia country compared to South Asia country the startup, because we have a complete industry, especially for OEM, ODM, a high tech company, and then we have a high tech talent. So this is all our advantage for Taiwan. Combined with Taiwan government have a good policy to support. So I think for me it's a very positive to if you be ready, we are encourage young entrepreneur can expand your business in South Asia country, India. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I'm just going to ask one or two questions that I would have everyone answer. This might sound a bit cliche, but why is Taiwan important? Why do you think is Taiwan important for discussing the future of jobs? Since we are all discussing the future of work for the Asian youth, and why is Taiwan an important subject to discuss? What do you think makes Taiwan unique, and what can it offer to the region in this?
Achievements, economic achievements that a lot of countries admire. And we are also the first country that started up the export zone, export-oriented development policy, which were now copied by a lot of countries. Okay, and even though we went through this period and we achieved a lot, but you will see that foreign capital come and the capital will go once they find that the labor cost or the environmental regulations they impose a lot of regulation, then they don't see this is a good places to do the investment, so they will go. They come and they go. Then we will see a lot of people, they are unemployed. Okay. And this is the, first of all, I would like to say, because this development experience is now in other countries. Okay. And secondly, Taiwan, just like I said, that we have the low fertility rate and the high aging population, high rate of aging population. And I believe this will be repeated in other countries where they are following the neoliberal economic policy. Okay, because they go for the export oriented development path. Once any country, any society, they took this developmental path, they will witness the fertility, decrease in fertility rate. Okay, so if Taiwan can overcome those obstacles, barriers, then I think we can be a good model for other countries to learn, to experience. Yes.
Right. Thank you very much, Professor Liu. Now, Mr. Huang, please.
Yes, thank you for your question. I think the nature of human resources development is to provide a strong and competent workforce for a country's economic and social development. Taiwan is a talent incubator in the Asia-Pacific region. We have high-quality vocational schools and training institutions that offer different types of programs and facilities to domestic and overseas trainees. The Workforce Development Agency, Ministry of Labor, has been an active participant in various international organizations, such as Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, APEC. As coordinator as APEC Human Resources Development Working Group Capacity Building Network, we have managed to liaise the domestic and international resources to promote regional collaboration in skills development and technical and vocational education and training. For example, we initiated APEC Skill Development Capacity Building Alliance project in 2017 and successfully received APEC funding for project implementation. In 2018 and 2019, Workforce Development Agency organized ASDCBA Event Coordinator Training Program that provide a platform of exchange for participants for tourism sectors. So we trained some of the trainees not only in Taiwan, but also for other APEC economies, so that we can build a strong alliance and partnership with other APEC region countries. This is what we are doing in our country and in government agency. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Huang. And last, Mr. Lin, please.
Okay. From my opinion, I think Taiwan, we are the multicultural in Taiwan, like Japan, like Taiwan, a Chinese culture, Japanese culture, and there are many cultures in Taiwan. So I think Taiwan is a good place to testing your idea is work or not. I think it is. And the second is Taiwan is the highest coverage of internet over the world. So like upcoming the 5G generation, I think Taiwan is it's very good place to testing your idea is work or not. And also we have many different culture in Taiwan. So I think for me, I think this is very good opportunity and place, yeah, in the upcoming time. Sure.
We cannot hear you.
All right, sorry about that. Okay, so even though our next speaker to answer this question is not really one of the speakers for today, I was told that he also would like to answer this question. So I'm going to invite the executive director of the Taiwan Asia Exchange Foundation, Professor Aden Haoyang. He would also be giving the closing remarks to today's sessions after he gives this answer. So Professor Yang, please.
Thank you, Yuri, for asking this question. I think the main idea is not what Taiwan is that important in this region. I think we can ask another question: how Taiwan can contribute to the process of the regional making of the region or the regional integration in the forthcoming years. I will say that Taiwan can play a very important role because of the willing of sharing. During the past decades, Taiwan has been long silent in the process of regional integration led by ASEAN since established in 1967. And however, in late 1970s and also 1980s, Taiwanese company, business sector, and also Taiwanese people, especially the young people, they are keen to visit Southeast Asia and also station there to promote their own, to pursue their own career, and also trying to be localized with the local business network. And that's a very important momentum for the first Go South policy launched in 1990s. And until now, since 2016, when Taiwan government implement the new southbound policy, I think it's more important to show the bi-directional engagement, not only from Taiwan workforce from Taiwan to Southeast Asia and the region, but also we invite more talent from Southeast Asia and also South Asian countries to Taiwan. So we can find there are increasing number of the community and also the young talent from those countries to work with Taiwanese counterpart and also to study in Taiwan's higher education institution. And that will become a new pattern of co-production and co-cultivation of the young workforce, not only in Taiwan, but also in the region. And at the same time, Taiwanese young people can also dialogue and do brainstorming with their counterpart in the region. During the past decades, we don't have that much chance to work with them and to dialogue with them and to learn from them, to know more about the locality and also the local needs. So I will say, in order to make Taiwan be a part of the region, it is important to continuously conduct the bidirectional engagement and exchange, so that we can really think about how we can work together to pave the future of the work for the young generation and young workforce in Asia. Thank you. This is my reflection to your question.
Right. And again, will you be delivering your closing remarks, Professor Yang, please?
Okay. My special thanks goes to three speakers of the wonderful and insightful remark made. And I personally, I'm not a specialist in a workforce study, but I'm very interested, and also I'm eager to learning from our speakers on different fronts. I think what we are talking about today had a lot of, maybe we have to set up a different target. One is the young people, the other one is the young worker, and also to dialogue with the stakeholder, that is the government, the public sector, and private sector, and also from like civil society and also the NGO groups. I think this is the circle or the ecosystem for better the good governance of the future of work. And for the young people, I try to summarize the discussion, the remark, and with my own reflection. For the young people, there are very strong expectation for a higher or better wage. And also the young people should be equipped with a new capacity to tackle the new challenge and also the need from the work. For example, the AI, artificial intelligence, and also the skill, the digital skill. But the young people now in Taiwan tend to pay much more attention to the value of work. This is more than materialism expectation, which means a more reasonable work hour, the privacy of their working space, and also the equality and non-discrimination condition for their work. So I think this is the expectation for the young people who are looking for. And another group of people is the young worker who are having the jobs now. Actually, their expectation for the future of work is to seek a better work experience, work environment, and to have a better wage condition, and including the welfare like vacation, like job training, and also to secure their job safety, as mentioned by our distinguished speakers. And what they are facing a challenge is actually there are new type and also atypical works, emerging atypical works, and there are increasing number of innovative industry, and the job pattern are totally different from our parents' generation. And in order to facilitate a better service or a good governance for the workforce service, government play a very important role. Just like Mr. Huang mentioned, that Taiwanese government has tried to work on the cross-ministerial collaboration to provide more incentive and sponsorship for the private sector and incentive for the young people to train themselves. And those incentives offered are very important for a better job opportunity. But also I learned from Professor Liu that her gentle reminder to the government, but very strong message is to reconsider their policy to the outsourcing worker within the government system. I think that's something that Taiwanese government also need to improve a lot in the forthcoming future. And for the private sector, since the workforce, the labor force is a kind of a supply and demand relation. So what do industry or what do company really need? I think it's very important for the young generation. That include they need a better service and to provide to their customer, so that they need their new recruit need to equip with new skills, for example, the digital abilities. And also they would like to recruit those new recruits who can apply the problem-solving technology to really solve the problem. And the fourth one is they are hiring the innovative mindset for making more profit. And maybe not only for the private sector, but also for the NGO, I think it's also very important for young people to know that teamwork are very important to facilitate all the project. So I think so far are the current situation for our target group, the young people, young worker, and the three main sector or main stakeholder. As we know that we have different different kind of generation. For example, our parents represent the war generation, and in Japan they have the lost generation. But now we or the younger people, we are belonging to the lockdown generation. Maybe not in Taiwan, but in Asian country or in other country, they belong to the lockdown generation. And what is the character or what are the features of the lockdown generation? I will say there are three different F. The first F is freelance. The second F is flexible. The third one is floating space, floating working space, which means you can work from home or you can work at a coffee shop. So that represents 3F dynamics of the so-called lockdown generation. I do believe that this special feature will be something similar to the future of work. So not only the young people who are seeking for job, but also for the private company and also NGOs, international organization, and also the government need to accommodate to those new features. And then we can re-educate or we can train more, provide more feasible training program or incentive for the increasing number of the lockdown generation young workforce. I think finally, I would like to thank CAS, the office, and also your colleagues kind help in facilitate this project working with Taiwan Asia Exchange Foundation. And I will say this is not the end of this project. This will be the new beginning of this project, and we also need to invite more regional friends and experts and also the young leaders to share their insight and their country profile along with Taiwan's experiences so that we can do the comparative study and then to provide the configuration of how the regional voice can represent for the Asians' idea and insight for the future of work. Thank you very much. Yuri?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Young, for that comprehensive wrap up. So this concludes today's webinar session, the very first session of the Future of Work webinar series. I would like to remind everyone that in a coming week, we will also be coming up or publishing a summary of today's discussions, which will be posted on both our websites, the Konrad-Adenauer-Stiftung and the TAEF's websites. Also, please remember to follow us on social media so that you'd also be kept updated on the next sessions. Again, don't forget, the next sessions would be on Indonesia. It will be held in November. Next, after that would be Malaysia in January 2021. And lastly, Vietnam in March 2021. So again, thank you very much, everyone, for making this webinar a success and possible. Again, to our speakers, it was our honor, and we really appreciate you sharing your insights to us about how Taiwan is doing when it comes to this issue on youth employment and the future of work. And once again, everyone, have a great day.
You
Peace and
too.
fruit.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.